Hello and welcome to Rockwall Canyon. Today we celebrate my 100th full video. Now to mark the occasion, I decided I would put together a slideshow showing the full progression of the Rockwall Canyon Railroad from its very humble beginnings, starting with a Bachmann starter set. Would have been 1991 or 92. Now sadly I don't have any footage of the actual train set, but this is the locomotive that came with the Thunderbolt Express. Now the set also included a bright yellow wooden gondola, a Santa Fe bobber caboose, an oval of steel track, and a very simple transformer. About a year or so after acquiring my starter set, I was also given another round of Christmas trains, including some LGB track and an Aristocraft locomotive. This eventually led to my beginning my adventure in garden railroading. Now that I had some brass track, I could actually operate the trains outdoors, and I was given a small parcel of land in the backyard to try my hand at garden railroading. The rectangular area was once my swing set. It was filled with sand. We replaced the sand with stone dust and then applied the railroad track and buildings and so forth, and eventually plantings and bridges as time went on. Around 1996 or 97, I was given permission to expand the railroad into the woodland area behind our house. The area had quite a bit of exposed granite ledge and a little bit of underbrush that needed to be taken care of. The schematic that you're viewing right now was not actually planned ahead of time. It sort of developed naturally over time, and this is what it looked like around the year 2000. The railroad actually grew quite a bit larger than that further up the hill as the years went on. And I mentioned hill. There was definitely quite a bit of ledge and quite a bit of altitude that the trains were required to climb. At the time I was building this, the railroad through Crawford Notch, the Main Central Mountain Division, had been restored recently, and that was a flavor of mountain railroading that was really exciting to try to model, and it definitely had some inspiration on this layout. You can see some of the shelf type arrangements along the side of the cliff here. And it was quite a bit of figuring to get all of that rock to stay up there on the side of the hill without any mortar. It was constantly changing things, so I couldn't see the point of using any mortar, so everything was always dry fit. The photos you're looking at are from around the year 1998, 1999. This was the first time that I really wanted to focus on the landscaping. You can see I have some fresh wood chips and some plantings going in place. I also began playing around with battery power around that time. This is one of my first battery power locomotives. It was an Alco FA1, and I put a lead acid battery in there and a simple on-off switch, and it ran fine. It was not very fast, and it was a good thing because it didn't have any control other than on and off. And as time went on, I kept making improvements. You can see this trestle had been replaced with a much larger trestle, and then I added more and more trains. I started custom painting trains. You can see some of my work here that I did for some Conway Scenic Railroad fans. And then I did some other photography for some of my friends in the hobby. I had borrowed some of their locomotives to stage some shots. You can see some of these here right now with this Great Northern FA1. There weren't a lot of choices back then. Once USA Trains came into the picture, I got the locomotives I was really interested in, these GP38s. I painted them myself into the Boston and Maine and the Main Central. And it wasn't long after that that USA Trains decided to do the Main Central and the Boston and Maine anyways, so I had to repaint them into something else. And so now we'll look at some more photos of the original railroad and some quick video that I have of it as well in operation. And so 2008 was a really rough year for the railroad. We had this really bad ice storm that hit, and I ended up with a lot of damage to the track. A lot of tree bits came down, really large branches that just broke a lot of cross ties and bent a lot of rails. Sadly, the railroad never fully recovered from all of this damage, and I ended up cutting back the line shortly thereafter. This was that following summer. I did get the trains out running a little bit on the full configuration, but it was never the same as it had been. There was a lot of rough spots. You couldn't really run any long trains. This rather weedy image of the track kind of getting overgrown but still being used really kind of describes the end of the 129 scale dominance in the railroad. And so at this point, 120.3 scale is getting really popular, and I decided to try my hand at live steam. So I bought this McCal Shay number 5, which turned out to be a really great live steam engine. It's a 3-cylinder Shay, had plenty of power to handle the big hills. And as you can kind of see some of the pictures, I cut back the railroad significantly. I really needed to cut out all the really tight radius horseshoe curves because these fine scale engines did not like the sharp radius curves. They really wanted something more like a 15 to 20 foot diameter curve. So I played around with these live steam models and some Bachmann Spectrum series logging engines for a little while. But I never did get rid of my 129 scale trains. They were still in place, and they were actually there for the very last run of the original Rockwall Canyon Railroad before I moved in 2013. And as such, this is actually a photo of the very last train to run on that railroad. Alright, so in the following few images, we're going to go back in time to around 2006-2007. This is regarded to be the height of the railroad, its largest configuration, its best kept situation. The railroad was roughly 1,000 feet long, and it started off with a minimum 5-foot diameter curve, went up to 8-foot diameter curve, and eventually 10-foot diameter curve minimum. The grade on the railroad was 4%. Alright folks, that concludes the first part of the history of the Rockwall Canyon Railroad. The second half will begin at my new location, where I currently reside today. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can be notified of the next video. And if you have not already, please like the video, and if you could, please check out the Rockwall Canyon gift shop. We have lots of interesting new items, including these snazzy new sweatshirts that I designed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.